Hey everybody, it's me, Remy the Comic Book Poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to End of the Poserverse. It's Monday, so you know what that means. It's time to talk the top 5-ish comics that if you missed out on last week's New Comic Book Day, you should pick them up on this week's New Comic Book Day. So to see what exactly made the list, you'll have to check it out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Alright, your usual couple of quick announcements. Number one, there will be Shop Talk on Thursday night at 9:30. I'm not going to get sick again. My body's not going to fight itself. The show must go on. Where we will give away this week's poser pile, so make sure you comment on tomorrow's video to see if or to get your entry into the poser pile. Second, also in tomorrow's video, I will give away last week's poser pile that I'll do a YouTube comment picker thingy on my laptop, splice it into the video, bing bang boom, somebody's going to get free books sent to them on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. Number two, don't forget we're doing AEW Dynamite and Rampage on Wednesday and Friday on Discord, and then we will be due up for, I think it's the first Thor movie, and then who knows what our B film will be. So come hang out with us on Discord for movie nights, for chatting about wrestling, for doing all kinds of weird stuff. So, without further ado, let's see what made the list. We've got 4 honorable mentions that I will just rapid fire through. Silver Coin number 10, very interesting advancement of this story that we've seen from Michael Walsh that he introduced in issue 5. We now get a 300-year update in issue 10. Pretty weird, like, seance and, like, witchcraft in here. Dope. Carnage number 1. I'm intrigued to see what Ramvi is doing. Basically, a guy is, like, courting Carnage to be his new host. Creepy. This was not on the poll last week, but this is Reckoning War, The Trial of the Watcher. This first issue is basically what if the Watcher would not have intervened the first time Galactus invaded an attempt to consume Earth. Pretty interesting story for somebody who's not a big Fantastic Four reader, and that cover is dope. And then, of course, the next to last issue of the Lives, Deaths event, the 10 Lives, the X Lives of Wolverine number 5. Pretty cool, pretty epic action-packed battle between Omega Red and Wolverine. Coming in at number 5 from Aftershock Comics is Bylines Blood number 3. So this is a story basically about this woman investigating the death of a friend that he was murdered, and she is investigating his downfall. This is written by Erica Schultz and Van Jensen, and the artist is Aneke, and Cardinal Ray is the letterer. But I like how this starts off in, like, old school, like, newspaper strip. Like, it's called Lady Dick, and it basically feels like the premise of a Dick Tracy comic across the first couple of pages, where then she gets kind of pulled back into the reality of being attacked while she is investigating the death of her friend. And basically, everything that could possibly happen that is super creepy happens to her. We have a lot of action-packed stuff that's caught from, like, streetwise security cameras along the way, and this leads to the discovery of a massive billboard that I don't want to reveal because it sets up what's going to happen in the next issue, but I'm sad we get a to be concluded, meaning that this is going to be done. I wanted it to last more than 4 issues. Makes me sad. But great story, killer art, very intriguing premise, very good at keeping your attention running. Alright, coming in at number 4 from Image Comics is Slumber number 1. This is by Tyler Burton Smith. Vanessa Carlini is the artist, Simon Robbins is the colorist, and Steve Wands is the letterer and designer. In talking about this book in the weekly poll last week, I knew that this was going to be the kind of story that's made for me, right? You have a woman who is a dream detective, and in the real world, There are people who are waking up with murder weapons in their hand with no recollection of either committing a crime or, in some instances, who they may have killed. But we get, like, here she is working through somebody else's nightmare where she's killing, like, a pedophile carny, and just working through multiple layers of this dream, and you see that she just gets to sit there and, like, lay everything to waste, that, you know, she is brutally murdering all of these different things in all of these different nightmares, and you kind of hear her talking about how it's a cathartic release for her, but you also see where she starts talking about some of these connecting threads, and then all of a sudden when we get into, like, an interrogation, right, we see that somebody goes from being a passive body terrorized by a nightmare to someone who is actively controlled. So maybe as we lead into issue number 2, we start to get more of an idea of why the murders are happening, not why the murderers, and how this woman has either contributed to the process by, you know, destroying things in the nightmarescape, or right, if she's to blame at all. But very interesting hook to a story. The colors are very, very vivid and beautiful, which is fun for a gory book about killing things and nightmares. Coming in at number 3 from Boom Studios is Basilisk Chapter 8. It's written by Cullen Bunn, Jonas Scharf, and Alex Guimarães. We know that our 2 main women who are fighting against the Chimera are on the run. That while they have done some damage to the creepy cult, they are also both limping. But one of the things that you've discovered is basically when one of the members of the collective kills another one or is near someone who's killed, they can absorb their powers. So we find a new meaning to somebody kind of becoming the Chimera, right? Because they become an amalgamation of all of the different parts of the people who were chosen by God. So what we see is them approaching one of their original home haunts of Kingsley, where this cluster of the Chimera came together and really wiped out their first population. And what you're starting to see is the kind of disjoint between Barrett, who is kind of the celebrant, and the woman whose name I forgot, who's the big bad. Is it like Vanessa? Yeah, Vanessa. So what you find as our 2 outsiders kind of come in to try and deal their final blow to the remaining members of the Chimera, we start to see, right, all of the whispers in the head leading them to do unspeakable things, right? You see the wino eating his glass. You start to see people eating their own flesh. And I'll spoil one little thing, but not the other big thing. Like, these women are like, we're gonna not be afraid. And they just full on run in and run over Vanessa, which doesn't kill her right away. But you see some of the bigger elements of the plan that may exist with Barrett, right? Who may not just be the celebrant. I also pointed this book out in the style of Bruce and Cole, who they talk about some of their favorite covers of the week. This was my favorite, that I just like the little subtle hint of blood on the reflective glasses, that I think it does a good job setting the stage for the final kind of showdown between these 2 parts. Coming in at number 2, another Image book, is Stillwater The Escape, and this is by a bunch of folks. And there were some people who were afraid of this because they, you know, I think one of the phrases I heard was, I didn't know if I needed a Stillwater anthology, but you can see that this is several different stories, but they are very seamlessly woven together, and it focuses on the different stories of people who have fled Stillwater, what it took, the things that may have happened to them, lies that may or may not have been told about family members, that I think it does a greater job of kind of setting up the larger universe surrounding the outside of the town. So I don't know if there are several issues of Stillwater The Escape, or if this just kind of feels like an annual coming out to kind of, you know, set up the next chapter of the story. But I really feel like it adds to the universe in a bigger way, that if you picked this book up and it was your first foray into the Stillwater universe, you probably would be pretty damn confused. But I think for everybody who has been reading it, it becomes a good level of broadening the influence of kind of the law and the rules that have been imposed upon the people who live in Stillwater. And I think if this was your first foray, you might be a little confused, but I think it does a good job of going, if this is the broad brushstroke of what is happening in Stillwater, then finding a good way to pare it down and dial it back to, you know, whatever characters get focused on in the main arc. So either way, I think it's a good book and should be read by a lot of people. And then finally, coming in at number 1, you know you're not going to see it, that I will send my number 1 to Cole to show up on the Mixed Collectors channel on Tuesday, where you can see what my pick of the week, what other people's reads of the week were from now, or a throwback, a flashback read that Ash likes to do. So come and check out our thoughts there. So what do you think? As always, if you're here in the live chat, you probably let me know over here. If not, and you're on the rewind, let me know what you think in the comments down below. But like I said, tomorrow don't forget to comment on that video to get your poser pile entry, and watch the video to see if you commented on last week's pull list video and win the poser pile. So as always, y'all, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.